representing Onyx Coffee Lab, is Morgan Eckroth.
End of a long day. This will be fun. Okay, time. First of all, thank you all for being here. Last year, I stopped competing for the first time in 5 seasons, and I did this because I'd slowly come to realize that I'd lost sight of why I love working in coffee, and I knew I needed to find it again before I could come back to this stage. However, over the last 12 months, there has been one reason that has continually come back to my mind, and it's that I love sharing the magic of coffee. Now, truthfully, I spent a long time telling myself that I wouldn't say that to you. It was a line that felt too cheesy, maybe even a little bit too vulnerable. However, after watching me continuously delete that line out of this very script, my best friend finally asked me to define what I even meant when I said magic. I told her that to me, magic is what happens when you experience something in a way that defies what you thought was possible. And I've experienced this in coffee so many times. The first time I ever had a coffee drink that tasted like fruit, it felt like magic. The first time I ever walked behind an espresso machine also felt like magic. And here on this stage, I get to have so much fun creating drinks and experiences that go far beyond what most of our customers will ever experience. Things that defy what they expect from coffee. Or, if we're using my terminology here, magic. But more and more as time goes by, I find myself wondering, what could happen if the drinks and experiences we create here on this stage were somehow shared beyond it? How would people's perception of coffee change? Who would be inspired to compete here in future years? And more so, what could the magic of coffee spark in others? These are the questions that have brought me back this year, and I want to find the answers with you today. But we'll come back to all of that in a few moments, because in the meantime, I want to share with you 2 incredibly special coffees that represent to me 2 different facets of magic. So let's get started. Now, I believe that coffee can create magic, but importantly, coffee in and of itself is not magic. It is the hard-earned result of decades of study, and labor, and a drive to continually improve. And this is demonstrated best by the first coffee I'll be serving you. Now, our time today begins at Alita Estate. For over 100 years, the Lamastas family have been farming coffee on the slopes of the Baru volcano in Boquete, Panama. At 1,900 meters above sea level, grown in mineral-rich volcanic soil, are fields of geisha. It is here that the scent of florals permeate through a biodiverse cloud forest, and where nighttime temperatures can reach as low as 10 degrees Celsius. This lengthens the coffee's ripening phase by a full month and leads to large and sugar-dense coffee cherries. Now, the geisha that I'll be serving you here today was harvested 3 months ago at peak ripeness. The cherries were then placed in a dark room to dry. Now, this is a specialized method of natural processing. It utilizes a temperature-controlled space and 7 humidifiers to carefully control the slow and even drying of the coffee. Only after the fruit esters and those complex sugars have been absorbed by the coffee seeds are they pulped of their cherry. And in order to maintain the florals intrinsic to this geisha variety, we roasted it on a stronghold with a drop temperature of 375 degrees Fahrenheit at 9 minutes and 4 seconds. I prepared your espressos today using 20 grams in, 45 out at 28 seconds. And I ask that you please hold on tasting. Now in the cup, you will find raspberry. You will taste a floral black tea like Earl Grey, and you will experience an aftertaste of chocolate-covered orange. Now the tactile will be a medium to light weight. It will be soft and round, and you will experience a pleasant, lingering finish. Now the small cups above your napkins are for your spoons when you are all done stirring. I now invite you to please enjoy the magic created by Alita Estate. All right. Now, if you're all ready, let's continue. Now, I'm not someone who grew up drinking coffee. I had my first cappuccino at 16, and like most people, I think, I fell in love with milk drinks. The first time I ever experienced magic in coffee, that moment that I mentioned at the beginning of our time, was through a milk drink that tasted like red fruit and chocolate. If I close my eyes, even today, I can still taste that drink. So I've recreated it for you to experience as well. And this brings us to our second coffee, an SL28 variety produced by Edinson Argote in Huila, Colombia at Quebraditas Coffee. These coffee cherries were hand-picked, washed, and then pulped. The seeds were then left to ferment in a tank with yeast for a full 24 hours before being thermal shocked with cold water in order to halt that fermentation. Now, I've chosen this coffee because on its own, Edinson's SL28 is rich with flavors of purple tropical fruit, berries, and chocolate, which makes it the perfect base to build upon in order to recreate that first magical coffee drink. Now, I prepared your espressos using 20 grams in, 35 grams out at 25 seconds. Once more, I'll ask that you please wait on tasting. In the meantime, though, we're going to talk about the milk component. Now, in order to transform the base notes of this coffee, I have created a blend using 3 ingredients. 75% of the base liquid is lactose-free whole milk. I freeze distilled it to 50% of its original volume. This adds sweetness, and in combination with the espresso, you will experience milk chocolate. Now, the remaining 25% is Barista Series coconut milk. This enhances the drink's tropicality, and in combination with the espresso, you will experience red cherry. The final ingredient is 20 grams of lactose-free whole milk that I have cryo-desiccated into a powder. I did this by placing the milk in a freeze dryer for a full 24 hours. And by slowly removing all of the water content from the milk, I was left with a dry ingredient. In this beverage, it adds a creamy texture and a final aftertaste of salted caramel. If I can remind you, you will taste milk chocolate, red cherry, and salted caramel. My only drinking instructions are that you take your remaining spoon and stir your drink until the latte art is fully incorporated. Those of you who have your beverages can get started. I'll have yours ready in just a moment, Charlie. Please enjoy. you're ready, let's finish. Last year, I didn't know how to come back to the stage. There was a very real part of me that thought if I couldn't reconnect with why I love working in coffee and this competition, that I might not be back. But I then had an idea, and I had to start planning. Now I'm about to open up those sets in front of you, and you'll see locations marked. Columbia, where Edison's SL28 is from. Arkansas, where both of these coffees were roasted. Portland, where I'm from. For the last few months, I have been working with cafe operators at each of these locations to come up with a plan to serve my competition drinks using these same ingredients to their customers. These are services that are happening right now, and these photos are from yesterday and Friday. Our signature beverage connects both of the coffees you've tasted today, but to create a new type of magic for all of us. So, we begin with 80 grams of chilled espresso, an extraction of both of the coffees you've tasted, pulled in the same parameters as their courses. Then, to represent that clean fruit sweetness created in the Lamastis darkroom drawing method, I have 45 grams of mango juice. This ingredient, in combination with the geisha's profile, creates the flavor and experience of strawberry yogurt. Then, to represent the smooth tropical acidity that you experienced from Edison's SL28 in that milk course, I've created, appropriately enough, a milk punch. Now I made this by combining 400 grams of whole milk, 50 grams of bergamot juice, and 50 grams of Colombian panela sugar. I let that all filter through a coffee filter, and this liquid is balanced and acidified. This 35 grams, in combination with the SL28, will create the experience of milk chocolate and an aftertaste of orange creamsicle. I'll then be mixing in 1.5 grams of soy lecithin powder. This is an emulsifier that will help stabilize the fluffy and coating texture of this beverage, recalling that milk course you experienced earlier. I'll then be charging all of these ingredients in a siphon with N2O in order to create that texture. Now I still have one final ingredient today. Truthfully, it is my favorite of the bunch. It's going to create a little bit of visual magic for you, but more importantly, it's going to take you back to where we began our time, in the chilly nights and floral aromas of Alita Estate, just like those misty volcanic rocks in front of you. Let me go get it. Now this right here is a rose snow. I created this by dispensing nitrogenated rose water into a bath of liquid nitrogen. I did that off stage, and I'm now refreezing this ingredient with a final pour of liquid nitrogen. The 2 grams that I'll be adding to the bottom of each of your cups will fully melt and bring your drink down to a chilled sipping temperature. And if I can remind you, you will taste strawberry yogurt, you will taste milk chocolate, and an aftertaste of orange creamsicle. I also ask that you please wait until I call time to sip. Now, the drinks and coffees I have served you here today are not magic. I have given you every step and ingredient to these. But 12 months ago, I started wondering how I could demonstrate to you what I mean by coffee can create magic. And the maps in front of you are the result, as magic is what happens when the things that inspire us on this very stage are no longer limited to it. You and I know the magic of coffee well. By choosing to be here on this stage together, we are all chasing it. My friends, I don't think I need to convince you that we work in a very special, sometimes even magical, industry. But the maps in front of you are my gamble that if even one person off this stage this weekend gets to experience this magic too, with these coffees and with these drinks, then all of this will be worth it. Not only for us, but for our shared industry. Please enjoy. It's been a pleasure. Time.
Let's hear it for Morgan.